Take this one.
All right. So, Tony, you know that the NBA's hired a law firm to investigate whether the Clippers circumvented the salary cap when they signed Kawhi Leonard back in 2019. Now, The Athletic has reported the last couple of days that they're looking into whether that law firm has looked into whether the Clippers improperly covered expenses for Kawhi and they were not reimbursed. Essentially, my word is ominous, because the longer this goes on, it seems like they're going to keep finding something. Because as we all know, our good friend Pablo Torre broke the story in September, and the investigation is still happening. And in the meantime, there's a trade that is in limbo with Kawhi actually going back to Toronto, as fate would have it. So the longer this goes on, it seems like they're going to find something. Does that mean Kawhi's contract will be voided? Does that mean he'll be suspended? There's going to be punishment for the Clippers. And the commissioner last night, Adam Silver, said he hopes that this is over by the end of the summer. So it could still go on for 4 to 6 weeks.
So your word is ominous, and my word is anesthetizing. This thing goes on and on and on, and I am numb to it by this point. I've always believed that something was done between Kawhi and the Clippers that was probably not right. And I've also always believed that at some point all of it would be swept under the rug, because it never reached the threshold where it affected games. So now, as you say, Adam Silver is saying, let's get this done before the start of the new season. And Kawhi was traded out of the country, traded to Toronto, out of the country. This thing is on hold. I believe that the league is thrilled that Kawhi is out of the country, and I believe the league will be happy to assess a lot of big fines to a lot of people. But you give me a call if Kawhi is actually suspended for 6 months to a season. You give me a call on that one. What's next?
Right. Brian Kelly's enthusiasm for Notre Dame is blank.
I'll take this one. And my word is self-serving. Brian Kelly is now going around saying how much he loves Notre Dame and how much he loves Marcus Freeman and how he did great work at Notre Dame in terms of the infrastructure there. And he's apparently going on some sort of a tour to the colleges he coached, and he's meeting with people there and coaches that he hired. And this, to me, sounds like rehabilitation, because I understand that Brian Kelly at this point needs to make good on why he left Notre Dame for LSU, because he left the impression, whether it was intentional or not, he left the impression that he was going to LSU to win a national championship, because he could not win a national championship at Notre Dame. And they didn't win a national championship anywhere. And then LSU canned him either because of or in spite of the Southern accent that he invented. So my feeling about this is that Brian Kelly is going to have a second act, and this is the runway to that second act.
Yeah. So my word's going to be revisionism, and I think you're 100% right. And, he now claims, I never came out and said I couldn't win a national championship at Notre Dame. All I said was that if I leave, I'm going to go to a school where I can win a national championship. So it's all about semantics at this point. We know why he left. It was 10 years, $95 million that he was getting. He felt like it had run its course at Notre Dame. That's why he wanted to be part of the LSU family, as he said. And you're right,
family.
Though. He wants to make good with Notre Dame, because he says, remember what it was like when I got there? I left it in much better position. So for me, it's a little bit revisionist history. He wants to make good with the folks at Notre Dame. I get it. He's got his money, got his 10 years, $95 million. Obviously, that was a buyout at the end, but he made out all right.
Yeah. And the self-justification is he ripped the coach before him and said, you needed me, look what I did. That's the final word.
You're right.
Let's take one last break, but still to come, the Sixers put the press on LeBron James.
And should the Knicks win best team at tonight's ESPYs? Tony will be watching.
Yeah. I've carved out a lot of time for the ESPYs tonight, me. I got that. I'm good on that.
Yeah. First, I never won of England, Argentina.
Although I have an ESPY. I think I stole one. It's in the bathroom.
Pardon the interruption, but I'm Frank Isola. It's National Poetry at Work Day, Tony. You got a poem for us?
I'm Tony Kornheiser. I'm good with news that's a shocker. On most sports, I'm a good talker. But one thing I'd savor is if you do me the favor of taking the lead on the soccer. Right?
You got it.
Think you can help with that? That would be great.
Man.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. Wilbon remains on his Arctic expedition, so I am joined by our great friend from the starting lineup on Sirius XM, Mr. Frank Isola.
Wow.
Okay. And right up Frank's alley, we begin today with Argentina improbably advancing to face Spain in Sunday's World Cup final. England scored early in the second half and looked to be headed for the win before Argentina scored late, as it always does, to tie the game. And then again in stoppage time for the win. Frank, what do you make of Argentina's win and how they did it?
So in '86, it was the hand of God. In '98, Beckham gets the red card against Argentina. This was the collapse by England. They looked like they were in control. And, Tony, they took that 1-0 lead. Anthony Gordon, that was a beautiful goal. Morgan Rogers set it up with a beautiful cross. And then they just decided to park the bus. They started subbing out offensive players for defensive players, and they let Argentina just keep chipping away. You know, and they call England the Three Lions. The heart of the champion belongs, or the heart of a lion, I should say, belongs to the defending champs. Argentina, all tournament long, has their road been that tough? Probably not. But they were down to Egypt 2-0. They came back and won that game. But to do this against England, when Thomas Tuchel, the manager, and he's going to face a lot of criticism, Tony, back in England, for making all those substitutions instead of just keep playing, because they look like the better team for most of this match. Why not try to score that second goal? Yeah. So they give up the first on a beautiful shot by Enzo Fernandez, who plays for Chelsea in England, by the way. And then the kid Martinez, who plays over in Italy, had the goal, which, by the way, came off the assist from Lionel Messi. That is a brutal, brutal loss for England and another inspiring win for Argentina.
So I just have a couple of things to say, because you've covered the waterfront on this. One is that you say the coach will get some criticism because he went to a defensive mindset. I agree with that. You put the goalie was great, but you put so much pressure on the goalie. It looked like in the last 20 minutes, all the action is down on the English end. And apparently, this is what Argentina does better than any country in the world. They score late. This is their 7th game in the World Cup. This was their 10th and 11th goals after the 75-minute mark. I mean, they are living on the razor's edge, but they do this all the time. Are you surprised? Did you think England had this game?
I definitely did, until they went to that strategy to sit back. A couple of things that are interesting about this game, Tony, which you'll appreciate. In '86 and in '98, Argentina, which usually wears the striped jerseys, they went with the dark blue. So the theme was there for them, but England just looked like the better team. I'm surprised they went into that defensive formation. England did the same thing against Mexico, but Mexico was not Argentina. They don't have the quality players that could finish the job.
Well, they don't have Messi.
And that's what Argentina did. Amazing.
They don't have Messi. Messi now, at 39 years old, gets to go for his 2nd straight World Cup. And if they win that, it's going to be hard to make an argument that he is not the GOAT. It's going to be hard to make that argument.
Right.
Let's move to last night's All-Star game. The American League got 3 runs in the top of the 1st inning off of Christopher Sanchez and didn't need any more than that. They got 1 more in the 8th inning on a home run by the White Sox' Miguel Vargas. The game was a strikeout bonanza. 11 AL pitchers struck out 15 NL batters, and 9 NL pitchers struck out 12 AL batters. Frank, how would you characterize last night's All-Star game?
I kind of think it's symbolic of baseball today. It's a lot of relief pitchers and a lot of strikeouts. And we've talked so much about the National League not having Shohei Ohtani in the game, even as a pitcher, but Mizorowski, right, and Paul Skeens. If they played, maybe the American League also strikes out 15 times. So I get it. A lot of people didn't like the game, and I think it's kind of symbolic of where we are with baseball today. I think having Ohtani in the game to hit, he probably would have had 2 at-bats at least. Maybe that changes things. But how about the fact that Cody Bellinger ends up being the MVP of the game with a 2-out single in the 1st inning? That essentially tells you nothing else happened. And how about the night for the Phillies? Their 3 batters, Marsh, Schwarber, and also Harper, they go a combined 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. So Philly put on a great show. Right. Philadelphia did. The Phillies did not last night.
I'm going to agree with just about everything you said, but I'm going to start with a true story. I was watching the game last night with my son and my grandsons. Bellinger gets that hit up the middle in the 1st inning. Then Rice follows with the exact same hit right up the middle. And so now it's 3-0 in the top in the top of the first, and I turn to my son and I say, I think that's it. And he just sort of looks at me. I said, no, I think that's it. We're not even out of the top of the first. I watch 2 or 3 more innings and I go to bed confident that that game is over, because it is over at a ridiculously early point in an All-Star game. I felt terrible for Sanchez. That's got to be one of his worst innings all year. 2 walks, 3 hits, 3 earned. I'm going to agree with you. You could say that your impression is the game was boring, but it speaks to the reality of baseball right now, that if you can throw a great pitcher out there and ask him to just 1 inning, that's all you got to give me is 1 inning. That's going to blunt hitters. 27 of the 54 outs were strikeouts. That's unbelievable. And the National League had been crushing the American League in interleague play. But that's because you can't do this. You can't throw 11 pitchers out there every single night. It's not how it works in real baseball. And to your point about Philadelphia, they put on a great show in the city where the Declaration of Independence was signed, and in the 250th year of America. But boy, oh boy, Sanchez got rocked. Wheeler didn't even show. Yeah. And as you say, their hitters 0 for 5 with 4 Ks. That was tough. Tough for Philly fans. Yeah. Tough.
Yeah, and then Dylan Cease, he opens, he's the starting pitcher for the American League. He did walk a batter in the first, but he struck out 3. So it made you think, you know what, it could be one of those nights. And how about the fact the game, 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's actually pretty quick for an all-star game. There's no doubt about it. All right, let's move to the British Open, which tees off at 1:35 a.m. Eastern Time. Scottie Scheffler is defending champ and favorite, but missed the cut for the first time in nearly 4 years at last week's Scottish Open. Tony, do you see Scheffler as the favorite at Royal Birkdale?
No, not as the favorite. Look, I don't put much stock in the fact that he missed the cut at the Scottish Open. There are a lot of people who miss a cut and come back and win a tournament in the next week. What I put stock in is he never even seen the course until the practice round 3 or 4 days ago. So I don't know how comfortable he's going to be at Royal Birkdale. I was talking this morning with Steve Sands, our good friend from the Golf Channel. He's over there. And Sands said to me, look, this course is baked. It has been so dry and it has been so hot that you can get 400 yards with your driver considering the roll on this course. And he said, I will bet you that people don't even take their drivers out, that they play their long irons, that they can control better and still get 300 yards with the roll. And he mentioned Colin Morikawa to me, who is probably the best iron player in the entire world. He mentioned Rory McIlroy. I went, oh, wait, Rory, he's great with the driver. And he said, yeah, but Rory's also a great long iron player. And he also mentioned Tommy Fleetwood, a great long iron player. The problem, he felt there'd be a lot of pressure on Fleetwood because Fleetwood is from that area, lives an hour away, and that tends to create an awful lot of pressure. But that's what he talked about. Not that Scheffler isn't a great player. He's got, I think, 9 top 5s in the 15 tournaments he's played in this year. And he is the defending champion of the British Open, but not at this course, Frank. Not at this course. Some other course.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually spoke to somebody over there as well because I wanted to impress you. They say the course is completely burnt, so there's going to be a lot of tight lies. So Matt Fitzpatrick, the Englishman, you'll like this one. When it comes to scrambling out of tight lies, he converts 70% of them for par. So an Englishman has not won the Open since 1992, I believe that it is.
Really?
Now,
is that right?
The only thing with Matt Fitzpatrick, though, he did mention that he bet England to win the World Cup. So he's not
also
going
Northwestern.
On a good roll.
He's Wilbon's guy. Matty Fitz is Wilbon's guy. We're not rooting for him. Wilbon can root for him. We're rooting another way on this. We're going another way. ESPN recently came out with its ranking list of the top 10 NFL quarterbacks based on a survey of NFL coaches, executives, and scouts, and some additional help from ESPN research. Here's the top 10. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, Drake May, Jared Goff, and Caleb Williams. Frank, any problems with this top 10 list?
I'm going to give you 2 quick ones. Number 1, Sam Darnold just won the Super Bowl. He beat Drake May, and he had a much tougher road to the Super Bowl. I'm putting Sam Darnold ahead of Drake May, but that's one. And we all love Josh Allen. I think he's a great player. He's the only player in NFL history, at least 200 throwing touchdowns, 50 rushing touchdowns. Unbelievable accomplishments. He's never been to the Super Bowl, much less won the Super Bowl. And as long as Patrick Mahomes is in the NFL,
that's right.
He's numero uno. Because, Tony, if you went into a game and you said there's one quarterback out there that I need to win a game, they're great players, a lot of them, you're picking the guy in the Chiefs. I don't even think it's debatable.
But we're going to agree down the line on this. And Josh Allen's a terrific player. But as you say, he's had a lot of opportunities to get to the Super Bowl. And Patrick Mahomes has won 3 of these things. Now, maybe they thought, oh, he's coming out of an injury, and so we're going to downgrade him a little bit. But I would have thought you base this on what has actually happened already. And Patrick Mahomes is the best football player on the planet. I was a little surprised that Jalen Hurts was not on the list. I was a little surprised Dak Prescott was all the way up at number 6, because most conversations we have about Dak Prescott end with, how come he gets so much money? I was surprised Justin Herbert was at 7 because he's been terrible in the playoffs. I believe he's 0-3 in the playoffs with 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. That's what we call Lamar Jackson territory, and I thought he was rated a little bit too highly. I was a little bit surprised that neither Baker Mayfield, who else am I thinking of? The quarterback on the Packers, Jordan Love. I thought maybe they might make the top 10. I know what you're saying about Darnold. I'm not certain about that. But, you know, it's not that I disagree with people in the top 10. It's just that I might have bumped them back a little bit. And Wilbon, crazy happy because Caleb Williams is in that list. Caleb Williams and Drake May have been in the league for an hour and a half. I just think it's a little early on them. I do.
And also, the one thing, too, about Josh Allen, I'm thinking about the last time he played a football game. He had some brutal turnovers against Denver. Again, I love the guy, and they move into a new building. Maybe they'll finally make it to a Super Bowl. But how about, forget about winning it.
I'd like that.
Get to one first, right?
No, I agree. I mean, I just think he needs to do that before you rate him number 1 overall over people who have won, in Mahomes' case, multiple Super Bowls. Let's take a break. Coming up, the scope of the NBA's investigation into Kawhi Leonard reportedly widens.
And what's the word for Brian Kelly's sudden enthusiasm for Notre Dame?
So we had soccer in the show, and we had baseball in the show, and we had...
Investigation sound blank.
Frank, you